This is the fourth Dave Ellis Memorial Lecture, and we are honoured and privileged to invite and to have present this evening Mr. Michael Mansfield QC as our guest lecturer. The Dave Ellis Memorial Lecture commemorates and memorialises the work of Dave Ellis as a pioneer in community legal services, and David, who was a friend, colleague, mentor and inspiration to so many of us in this room. He, I think, of all people, would be very surprised, to say the least, to realise that in 2010 we appear to be back in the same economic condition that we were in the 1980s when Dave carried out so much of his pioneering legal work. Those were days of economic stagnation and widespread poverty in Ireland, and it was in that context that Dave carried out so much of his work in the area of community legal services. The point that we have reached now is a point, of course, of one where there is national crisis as a result of the economic bankruptcy of the state, and I think the task of organisations such as FLAC is to strengthen and widen the work that it does in providing services to communities marginalised and isolated and impoverished who require legal services, and to work towards a broader public interest law agenda as it has done in its expanded work over recent years. The task, I think, for all of us in the country at this point is to ensure that the enormous and perhaps unfathomable debt which now weighs so heavily on this country and will do for years to come cannot be allowed to crush the talent and the creativity which we need to harness and to nurture to ensure that we not only survive the current economic crisis but to ultimately thrive again. In 1969, FLAC was established around the core principle of equal access to justice. And that principle of equal access to justice encapsulates an attempt to place the concept of equality, which is enshrined in our Constitution, at the heart of any analysis of how our legal system works. Tackling inequality over the last 2 decades has in some circles been deemed to be in some way a threat to what was thought to be the economic miracle we were enjoying. Indeed, we were regularly lectured at times that inequality was actually essential to the continuation of our successful and supposedly thriving economy. But if we fully analyse the concept of equal access to justice, I believe that we can see that it raises fundamental questions, not only about the ability of individuals to access the constitutional and legal infrastructure of the country, but it also raises fundamental questions about the ability of citizens to give full expression to their talents and ensure to fulfil their potential. FLAC as an organisation has never just been about ensuring that a poor person is put in contact with a charitable lawyer, although it has importantly been that. But our work in isolated and marginalised communities and our work with other community organisations and fellow NGOs has ensured that we are engaged in a process of an examination about how our society is structured and how so many people are excluded from full participation in the society. If we are to survive and to thrive, rather than to succumb to the mass emigration of our youth abroad, as we have done in this country for centuries, then we must attempt to harness all of the talents and energy and creativity of our people equally, and in order to do so, all of those children must have an opportunity to equally give expression to those talents. Our work in FLAC with community organisations and other NGOs has shown us how much enterprise and how much creativity there is in this country, in communities that are struggling economically. We must use those opportunities to unlock that potential, and we are committed in this organisation to working in a deeper and more effective way towards achieving those goals.